I'm Tate Pollock, founder of Pivotal and author of Everywhere Commerce. This channel explores how modern commerce really works and how to build, scale, and lead in a world where business happens everywhere. Today we're going to explore unique selling propositions, or USPs, and why most businesses fail at it, how your business can succeed at it, and how to make your business really stand out amongst the competition. So let's dive in. So the word USP gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of businesses automatically jump to price when it comes to USP. And price is probably the worst unique selling proposition you can possibly go for. The reason for that is, whilst you can make a price unique, price is a number, of course, most independent numbers are going to be unique. So if someone sells something for £10 or £100 and you decide to sell it for £9 or £99, you're going to be unique. But that isn't unique. Most people are doing exactly the same thing. And the problem with that is, if you make yourself unique by increasing the price a very marginal amount by £1 or $1, for example, well, you're just going to be pretty much the same price or have the same perceived price, but just be slightly more expensive. Your customers even are going to choose your competition. So how can you make yourself unique in a unique way? Because everybody's making themselves unique with price. And price is a race to the bottom as well. If you make your price £99 and someone comes along and wants to be unique, they make themselves £98, and then someone else comes along and wants to make themselves unique, so they become £97, and eventually you're giving away your product for free, and so is everybody else. And you're in a price war. There is no winner in war in general, so that would stand true in a price war. Do not sell on price. So if you can't sell on price, then what can you sell on? You need to ask yourself what really makes your brand worth choosing. So, for example, if you sell shoes, for example, or if you sell clothing in general, what makes your clothing different to someone else who sells shoes or clothing? Well, it's probably not going to be the fact that it's shoes or clothing. It's probably going to be something related to the people behind selling the shoes, the way the messaging is put across when selling the shoes. We're going to go for shoes, not clothing. You probably can think of a couple of shoe manufacturers or shoe brands that do this really well, and they probably aren't discounting their prices in order to get your quick sale. They might do discounts because there are certain times to do discounts, and there's definitely a place for it. But have a think about your favorite brands, the shoes on your feet right now, unless you're inside, and then the shoes by your front door. And then have a think about why you chose that brand. Was it because their messaging made you feel something? Or was it because you got it for £10 different than what you could have got it for somewhere else? Did you get it at a bargain? If so, skip past the fact you bought it for a bargain and think again why you chose that brand as opposed to another at a bargain. Try and get the idea of a bargain out of your brain. So with that in mind, you also have the concept of clarity as opposed to volume. And when I say volume, I mean loudness. In my mind, clarity beats loudness every time. So you want your message to be really clear. And to be clear, you have to be succinct, and you have to say and communicate exactly what it is your brand offers that's different to the competition, as opposed to a less clear message spoken more often at a higher volume. So a big fat billboard in the middle of Times Square with an unclear message versus an SMS to somebody with a very clear message will obviously hit home differently. So think about clarity as opposed to volume or noise. Now here's the problem. Most businesses focus on price, like I said earlier, and the other two levers that are often looked at are quality and service. Right, so if everybody's focusing on quality, service, and price, and those are absolute pillars, you should definitely focus on those things. Just recognize that they are not making you unique. So customers will hear noise about quality, service, and price all the time, and they start to tune it out. Quality is felt, service is felt, and price well, I suppose it gives you a feeling too, but what I'm trying to get at is the fact that feeling is the key motivator when it comes to buying. People buy with their emotions, or they act on their emotions, and then they justify it with logic later. So it's really important to know that, because you need to make people emote through your advertisements, through your messaging, and then give them a reason and a way to justify their purchase or their actions that they took with you after, because that helps with things like buyer's remorse and retention and loyalty and them coming back, customer lifetime value, that kind of thing. So you don't want people to buy instinctively and not have a way to logically justify it afterwards. That's really important. So quality, service and price can be those things. Those are very logical things. People will jump to them straight away. So do offer one of those levers. But I'll also say that, well, if you're going to discount price, quality might suffer, and service. If you're going to discount service, then you're probably going to suffer with your price. That's going to have to go up. The key takeaway here is, if you sound like everybody else, you're invisible. If you don't stand out from the crowd, you are the crowd. So how can you make somebody emote and feel? Well, great businesses and great people, the people behind businesses, and they're interlinked, stand for something. So what do I stand for? I stand for empowerment. So I want to empower you. I want to empower our clients and customers, my team, to be the best version of themselves and to be able to grow and to lift each other up. And that's how I am. So that's how my business is. And I stand for, well, our slogan at Pivotal is going up will take you there. That's also our elevator pitch, which pun is intended. But what it means is we're going to take you from here to here. So that's what I stand for, and I'm going to do that with you. If you keep watching, I'm going to give you as much advice as possible. I'm going to answer questions and engage with you, and I'm going to elevate your business and you to the best version you can be. That's my goal. So what do you stand for? What does your business stand for? How do you represent that in your advertising? How do you make that really, really clear in your messaging? Work that out, and your USP is mostly there. It's just, how do you make it clear then? So, for example, we're going to mention a couple of the examples I put in the book. So, Michael Dubin, when founding the Dollar Shave Club, he needed a USP. He wanted to sell razors, and that was a very saturated market. So how do you sell something that's a commodity in a saturated market and still manage to make it unique? Or you attach a feeling, a cause, or something you believe into it, and you tap into that part of another person, the person who would be your customer, and you make them believe it too. And then you make the fact they're buying your product a way to demonstrate their belief in that same thing you believe in. You're rallying people together. It's your rally cry. It's the thing that gives that person a sense of self. They bought into your product, and they're also projecting and demonstrating to themselves that they also believe in that too, and reaffirming that part of their personality. And then they're justifying it with logic. I need to shave. So the founder of Dollar Shave Club, Michael Dubin, well, his model was interesting. So he went viral, and that viral video was hilarious for a start. So go look that up. The Dollar Shave Club videos are great. But what the core messaging is there is that they're sticking it to the man. And the man would be Unilever and Gillette and the 1950s style authoritative father figure type character that would previously have represented shaving. Shaving isn't that anymore. So sticking it to the man is commonly felt, especially amongst young people when they're going through a certain stage of their life. And so immediately a huge number of people will resonate with sticking it to the man, which is what Dollar Shave Club did. And so by attaching their brand to that idea, it's no longer about shaving. It's no longer about buying a product. It's about demonstrating that that's also what makes you tick and what you want to project onto the world. Another really good example is Patagonia. So I'm referencing my book here because the idea of this channel is that I take you through the book and explain a bit more. So again, plug for Everywhere Commerce. Pick up your copy from Waterstones, Amazon, or from pivotal.digital/everywhere-commerce and grab your copy today. Meanwhile, I'm just going to look at it every so often. Help guide me on this channel. I wanted to just check the pronunciation of, I think, Yvon Chouinard, who I talk about in the book. So I wanted to make sure I pronounced that right. So Yvon Chouinard is the founder of Patagonia. Patagonia, as you know, is an amazing brand, and it's a brand which it's more of a symbol. People don't buy Patagonia because they want to buy a jacket. They'll buy a jacket because it's Patagonia. Patagonia's brand is so strong that when you buy Patagonia, you're buying a belief in what they stand for. And again, it's resonating with what people define themselves as when it comes to a message or an emotion. Patagonia resonates with them. There are so many brands that sell similar products to Patagonia. But Patagonia is an idea, and then a brand, and then a product, not the other way around. So Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, never set out to build a brand in the first place. He was just a climber who couldn't find what he wanted and decided to make the products himself. And just like any entrepreneur, Yvon began selling the products out the back of his car and in any way possible. But Yvon was kind of a different character. From my research, it seems to come from Yvon realizing that a lot of the equipment that was being put out there was damaging the rock faces that he loved. So he wanted to climb them, and he wanted his products and the products that he was using to not damage them so that they could stay good to climb for years to come. And Yvon, being in a position of selling products or manufacturing products because he was making his own, was able to then think about how he could build products to not damage those rock faces. So combining entrepreneurship and business in a way that makes it so that you can achieve a goal or an outcome is a great way to bring people alongside you, because business, it's a conduit for action. So you can use business, trade and commerce to get shit done. If you don't have the powers of a government to rally people together to invest in an action, well, you need to create a perpetual motion machine, and business, as long as it's profitable, is the way to bring people together to perform a task, to align with a set of goals, and to make change. So you either have government and that's still based around money, but not commerce. And commerce is the other way, the way that the free person's way to make change happen in the world. So Yvon saw this and decided to use what he was doing to make a difference, and that's the key point. So after rock faces, Yvon kind of expanded that idea into saving the planet. I think just a love of outdoors must have made that the case. But selling products initially for climbing and then expanding into clothing, and really driving home and sticking to a key core set of beliefs, Yvon was able to sell a mission. And that mission was to save our planet, sustainability, and leaving the planet in a good place for generations to come. So everybody wants, that's something that parents will resonate really well with. They want the world to be a beautiful place for their children to grow up in. And most people want the same for their children's children. And nobody wants to leave the world in a bad place, but many people feel guilty about how they've left the world so far and the footprint that they've left on it. So what Yvon's selling is, you buy this clothing, you buy my brand, you buy the products and the climbing gear that we create, and at least you believe that we should do something to make a difference with our planet. So you don't have to even necessarily make that difference. You can trust that the money that you're putting into the brand that believes in that, as long as you truly believe that they believe in that and your beliefs are aligned, then you can be confident that the money that you're investing in your clothing with is going to also be used for other purposes that are going to further that thing that you feel guilty for not doing. They're going to be a leader in the space. They're going to take your profits and they're going to invest it in new great products, of course, because that's what any business would do, but also in that mission to save the planet and make it a good place for generations to come. So Patagonia did some really clever marketing, and it's around emotion too. And they were one of the first to do it. So they basically promoted the idea of, do not buy this jacket, don't buy our products. And it's counterintuitive, but it hits home because you look at it and you stop. It's an original scroll stopper. It's original clickbait, but before that was even an idea. Do not buy our clothes. Do not buy our products. Well, of course they want you to buy their products, but don't just buy them because you want the latest one. They did some really nice adverts showing what old jackets would look like, what old clothing, what old Patagonia items look like, old Patagonia products look like, and made it cool to let them get worn out and to show that they last. And then that message that's being driven home then is, well, one, don't consume for consummation's sake, and also it's one of endurance. When you buy a Patagonia product, it's gonna last, and that message is then subliminal. And when you reach a conclusion subliminally because you haven't been told it directly, that's even clearer. You've decided that's the message. So all of a sudden, Patagonia is gonna endure in your cupboard when you buy it. You know it's gonna last you a long time, and that jacket that you bought, or that gilet, or that climbing gear is gonna last and last. And you've not been told that. And you're gonna believe what you think more than what you've been told. So that's the clearest possible message that could be delivered, and they delivered it by just saying, do not buy our product, which is fantastic. That's exactly the kind of thinking that makes a difference, because they used feeling to make you come up with a conclusion, and that conclusion will cause action, and the action will be one of self-motivation to go and buy that product when you need it. Of course, if you don't own a Patagonia product, well, the message don't buy our product is going to make you think, well, I can if I want, for a start. The earlier one of stick it to the man. But then once you've got it, keep it. But you're going to recommend that to your friends. Instead of buying a new one, you're probably going to think, I don't need to buy a new one. And you'll probably start boasting about that to your friends too, because you're proud that you're following that same mission and drive that Patagonia lean on. And then every time you don't buy a new jacket and you do recommend it to a friend, that's free advertising. And word of mouth is the most powerful advertising on the planet. So amazing messaging, very clever, very smart, and why Patagonia is a brilliant brand to learn from. I want to use this opportunity to promote the idea of not even needing to define your USPs. I think you need to define them. I think long-term definition is really key, but there are brands out there, smaller brands potentially, but loved brands that don't necessarily have those unique selling propositions written down in a brand manifesto, brand philosophy, brand guidelines, tone of voice, anything like that. But there are beloved brands out there that don't have a defined USP because they stand for something first and foremost. So I want to give a shout out to my amazing business partners, Georgia and Shane, who run The Yard Coffee, and you can find that in Pivotal House downstairs, which is a wonderful cafe and restaurant. They stand for something first and foremost, and then they create an amazing environment where you can buy a coffee and you can work and you can be in a fresh, open, airy environment and feel productive and get shit done. But those two stand for something first, and that just comes through in everything they do. So I think whilst I'm going to talk a little bit more about defining your USPs and understanding what they are, it's also kind of, what are your values? What are the things that make you tick? If you don't have one of those and it's just money and you just want to make money from your business, well, I guess you can probably work in an industry or a niche where other people just want money, and that will be what makes you tick, what makes them tick, and how you resonate with your customer. Maybe selling banking products, financial products, insurance, something like that. I don't know. But what makes Georgia and Shane tick is, or G, by the way, not Georgia. G is Georgia, but we call her G, is they make people feel safe. They also have the same value of empowerment and lifting people up, making them feel strong and confident and supported. And people come back to our coffee shop and our restaurant downstairs because obviously there's great product. Well, that's a given, right? So what we said right at the beginning is quality, service, and price. Coffee's probably not the cheapest in town. The service is fantastic. Quality is great. But there are other great quality coffee places in the same city. but you always get a smile. You always get asked how you are. You always get personal treatment, and you have a small micro interaction when you buy your coffee with any of the team who work at the coffee shop, and you make a connection, and then you can justify your spending of coffee after. You got good internet connection. You were able to work that day. The coffee was great. The service was good. There was sunshine and plants everywhere. Those are your kind of logical justifications afterwards. But making people feel safe, empowering them, lifting them up, asking them how they are, that is the USP of the Yard, and that's a local business. Next time you go to a coffee shop, ask yourself why you went to that coffee shop. Ask yourself how that coffee shop made you feel and why you might go there as opposed to another one, because there's probably other good coffee shops near where your favorite coffee shop is. So there's a good way to understand how a USP works on a local and more smaller scale. But just thought I'd give a shout out to those guys, because you guys are awesome and I love what you're doing. So I'm going to do a small exercise with you here, and feel free to leave your answer in the comments also. I'd be really interested to see what the answers to these questions are, so I can get a better picture of who my audience is. So these prompts are to help you decide what your USP is. So first of all, why did you start this? Why did you start your business? Why are you selling what you're selling? Did you wake up one morning and get really frustrated with something and think you could do it better? Did you have a product constantly fail on you and decide to invent something that wouldn't? Did you find that you kept buying something again and again and you just wanted it cheaper, so you investigated the price, found you could buy it cheaper, then sell it for more and follow the route of money? What was it that made you start what you're doing now? What made you start in the business that you're in? For me, it was, I really like coffee, and I really like interacting with people, and I really like being able to offer advice, have that advice listened to, and then see the positive outcome of it. I like teaching and educating, and I like seeing the difference it makes in people's lives. So for me, I started it because I naturally just do that, and people tend to say, oh, can you help me with that? And that turns into a job, and that's evolved into now. So that's me. What frustrates you in your industry? What are the things which wind you up and make you get really annoyed about your own industry? That's a really good question. So answer that in the comments below if you can, and also just consider it yourself, because those frustrations are going to be friction points, and when you fix friction, that fix tends to be a USP, or you can at least consider it to be a strong selling motivation in your business. And so another question is, what do you love about you? What's your favorite thing about what you do? What's your brand? And how does it make you feel proud? I think that's a key point. What are you proud of about your business? And if you're not proud, then you have work to do. What do you go out of your way not to do? So you'll have a business that does something and sells something. What won't you do? What activities are you keen to do? What activities are you keen to make sure that you never do that might be a norm in your industry? And if you haven't worked those out, base it on the things that frustrate you in your industry. Another question is, what can only you say truthfully? So what I mean by that is, you could have 5 people in a room and 5 of them could say the same thing. What can you say that would mean they were lying and you were telling the truth? So that's another way of saying what makes you unique, but not necessarily what makes your brand unique or your business unique. What makes you unique? Do you collect some rare item? I don't know, stamp collecting. Are you really into a particular kind of music? Is there a charity or a cause that you really believe in alongside the products that you sell and different to? Is there a type of person that really resonates with you that you just want to be around? And perhaps you want to make your space or your business their choice of where to go. You can then angle your brand around what would resonate with them. And because you know that type of person, well, perhaps you are one of them, then they'll come to you because they know that you know them. Another question is, what is your tone? So tone of voice. What gives you an edge? What is your vibe? How do you feel? How do you project your feelings? How do people perceive those projections? How do you make people feel when you're around them? Your vibe. And how can you describe that? If you can describe it and define it and understand it, then you're getting closer to understanding what will make your brand different and how you can make it stand out, and therefore give it hooks for people to grab onto and buy into your brand and choose you over someone else. So in all business, you've got this concept of scarcity and urgency. So if something's scarce or rare, you need to grab it now because you might not be able to grab it again. And urgency in that, well, you can have something that's scarce and rare, but if you can always go get it at some point, you're not going to go get it. So the thing that causes action is urgency. So that thing might disappear. I need to get it. It's going to be gone by midday. I need to get it before midday. So scarcity and urgency. So the question here is, what makes your offer or your product or the service you offer in your business too risky to ignore? So you need to be able to say, well, here's my message, but if you don't pay attention to this message, you're going to be missing out. FOMO, fear of missing out. It's huge. What gives your customers FOMO? What are they going to miss out on if they don't engage with the product now and again? And here's another question. What is your proof? So what proof do you offer your customers that buying your product is going to make them feel in that way, make them emote and come to the conclusion that they've bought into something that is going to perpetuate that part of themselves that resonates with them? What is your proof? What proof and evidence do you offer that says your brand is something that is right for them? Your brand is something that's going to make them feel how they feel in the advertising stage when they buy the product and ongoing. How do you prove that your product is going to deliver what it's supposed to and make them feel how they felt when they first engaged with you ongoing? Because they're buying into that feeling. They want to engage with the product and feel that way every time. Think of an Apple product like a MacBook or an iPhone. You buy it because it's really clean and slick in the visuals and the messaging in the advertising. You keep it and you get that same feeling when you open up your MacBook or when you engage with your phone every time. And so your proof is, it can be demonstrations, it could be taste testings, it can be a sample of the service, so like proof of concept period. What is your proof? Provide that and it becomes very logical to continue and to complete the transaction. So it's a worthwhile question to answer. And finally, if your customer is going to give you a 5-star review, what would it say? So, and likewise, if your customer is going to give you a 1-star review, what would it say? And look at the difference. Try and put yourself in the headspace of your customers who've had the best ever service, and then try and put yourself in the headspace of your customers who've had the worst ever service. Write a review for your own business and try and understand from that how to keep delivering that same 5-star service every time. A lot of brands get really complacent when they start to succeed, so they'll deliver a great service in the first interaction, and then every subsequent interaction with that customer is a bit meh, a bit more whatever, because they're focusing on getting a new customer. What you want to do is you want to always be working on getting new customers, but always be looking after your existing customers and building a community of people that love your product and love your brand. So you've got 6 product USP types, or unique selling proposition types, or other people also say unique selling points. You've got a unique product, you've got a unique price or value, you've got a unique process or way that you can deliver your product or service. You can have a unique voice or tone, the way that you speak. It can be really informal. People can really love a bit of informality. People love swear words. So I say they fucking love swear words. You can have a unique community and you can impact that community in a unique way. So people that believe in your cause, but also giving them a chance to socialize and be as one together, with your brand being the vehicle that supports them. You can't get more powerful than that. And the unique story. If you have a really unique origin story and a reason for being, your raison d'etre, if you can demonstrate that, why did you go into business in the first place? Why are you here? Well, an origin story is quite embryonic. Usually it resonates with other people's origin stories maybe they didn't create a business from it, but maybe they do have a similar background, and so they're going to resonate with you and feel more connected. Connection is a huge part of USPs, unique selling propositions. If people can feel connected with you, you're in. You don't have a customer, you have a relationship. So here are some mistakes to avoid. So there are a few things that you should definitely avoid when trying to define what your unique selling propositions are. And that is, look across your industry and see what they're saying, what they're defining as their unique selling propositions, and just make sure you're not saying the exact same thing. Because whilst you might see similar with Coca-Cola and Pepsi, there really isn't very much room for two businesses that are too similar with their values. Or if there is, those values have to be authentic. What they stand for has to be pretty true, and the businesses behind them have to demonstrate and provide that proof rather than show that they're copying someone. No one wants a copy or an imitation, they want the original. So make your brand original. And I think it's really important to not make the mistake of confusing features for value. Offering a ton of features doesn't offer a ton of value. Value is a perceived outcome. It's the result. It's the evidence that this thing has provided you with something valuable, of value. So if it's a money-making product or service, did it make you money? If it's a product that's going to give you more fame, did it make you more famous? If it's a product that's going to make you feel full and satiated, are you hungry still, or did it fill you up? If it's a product that is going to allow you to be more creative, do you feel creatively satisfied? Doesn't really matter if it's a paintbrush that, for example, has X number of bristles and a grip that works in a certain way, or the flow of the paint from the paintbrush is designed to come out in a certain way, or maybe it's black or brown. Those are features and not the outcome of the product. The product needs to have good quality, but don't confuse features for value. When you're listing value, it's more along the lines of you make that person feel at the end while they're using the product and throughout the stages of their journey with you. Another really good example of features versus value is a TV. Right? So a TV, generally, it's quite a commodity now. People will buy a TV from a brand that they like. I like Samsung the frame, by the way. That's what I have here throughout the building. But the thing that makes me feel that it's valuable is the overall outcome. It's the sum of its parts. It's not the individual parts. The features are the individual parts, and the value is the sum of those parts. What do they add up to? So a TV can have X number of pixels on the screen. It can have a certain range of colors. It can have a certain brightness, like all great. But what I want is really high quality monitor/television in my building throughout the spaces, so that we can use it to project our laptops onto and have meetings with, and sometimes watch video. I want it to also be classy and look like a picture frame and be out of the way. I don't want it to be something that highlights itself. I want it to be understated, and I want it to be so valuable and unassuming, which I think resonates with me. I think I'd like to be valuable and unassuming too. It took me a while to get on YouTube because I don't naturally want to stand out and be in the public eye. I do it because I think it resonates with my audience and that I can add value by doing it. And so I chose a TV that does the same thing. That's why I like Samsung the frame. Another mistake to avoid is relying on cliches. So quality, trust, customer first, like great. And definitely rely on a brand. You should build your brand around quality, trust, and putting the customer first. But don't talk about it. Just do it. Those things are being done by a lot of really great brands, but they're not the things that set them apart. They're not the unique selling propositions. They're just how you run a good business. So if you focus on just those things, your business isn't going to succeed. You have to have something more profound than that. So another mistake, which is my final mistake, which I'm going to list here, is once you do know what your USPs are, make sure that that USP is able to be found everywhere. So channel name Everywhere Commerce kind of resonates with that, but make sure that your USP is easily understood and felt, not just read, but felt on all platforms. So social media, on your website, in search, your messaging for like SM WhatsApp, DMs, the way that you conduct yourself at public events, on stage, wherever you're going to be, make sure that your USP comes out and is felt. So for example, well, I just gave you some good examples of that, but a couple of additional applications of your USP might be on your homepage of your website. When you first land on the homepage, do you feel what your brand stands for? Do you feel what your values are? Is the messaging clear in your ads? Do your ads all seem to be consistent and cohesive? Is your brand itself oozing what you stand for? And does that then resonate through all your creatives? Is your brand values and your unique selling propositions baked into your customer journey? So, for example, when a customer buys from you all the way through to when the product lands on their doorstep or given to them, or for example, if you're a service company, aftercare in the guarantees that you offer in any kind of warranty period, offer follow-up, and does that messaging and the way that you conduct that follow-up up to what your brand values are? And also, to make sure that it properly applies, you need to ensure that every single person in your team is singing from the same hymn sheet, is a really strong advocate, avatar, and representative of your brand values and what makes your brand unique and gives it that unique selling proposition. So every single member of your team has to understand why they are at work, why they do what they do, and they have to feel it, not just say it. They not just understand it, they have to feel the same thing. If you look around your team and you see that someone in your team isn't feeling what you feel and what your business feels and what you project and how you want others to feel, you need to find different team members, because you all pull in the same direction based on feeling, and then again you justify it with logic afterwards, and people buy with feeling. So just some final points. Without a unique selling point or a unique selling proposition, you're kind of guessing and you'll be working on instinct too much. If you can lean back on clear and well understood unique selling propositions, brand values is another thing you can use in place of unique selling propositions, then you're not guessing anymore, and you're always able to understand, as Simon Sinek calls it in his book Start With Why, are you here? Once you know why you're here, then you know why you sell the thing you sell, and that is your unique selling proposition. Once you've got one, everything starts to align and make sense. So I've been through this process and I 100% vouch for it. Once you've got a unique selling proposition, once you understand why you're here, what makes you tick, and you've done some self-reflection and then reflection within the business, sales, service, quality of your work, they all start to go in the right direction, because everybody in your team, yourself, your clients and customers, they also know why you're here to do what you do. So, and the final thing is just make sure commerce is everywhere. Unique selling propositions are needing to be everywhere for that same purpose, and you need to be making people feel where they are already. So they're on social media, that's where they need to start feeling your brand's values. If they're on a website, well, on that website's where they need to start feeling your brand's values. If they're watching a TV ad and they're sat watching the TV, that they need to feel there, not once they go to somewhere from that TV ad. It has to be the feeling is felt right there and then, is what creates action. So your message needs to travel well. So I'd just like you to reflect and invite you to reflect on what makes your business special. I'd love to hear what makes your business special in the comments. So please drop in the comments below what you think makes your business special, or ask me, say, this is my business, here is the link to my website, and how can I make my business unique, or what can I highlight about it that makes it special. I'll take a quick look, and if I can find the time, and then I'll feed back in the comments too. So this video on unique selling propositions is the first part of my book Everywhere Commerce. It's not word for word, cover a lot more within the chapter, but the first part of the chapter of the first part of the book, strategy section, is defining and understanding what your unique selling proposition or unique selling points are. You can find out more in the book and read more in detail, and my other videos to find out other parts of the book that might be helpful and useful to you. So the next video that I do is going to be all about brand identity. So your branding leans into unique selling proposition and values, and this is a great place to start, but then the next stage we need to look at is branding, because your brand embodies your unique selling proposition and much more. We're going to talk about branding in the next video, and I'm going to go into a lot of detail, and I'm going to hopefully make it clear and help you understand why a brand is so important, how you can make yours, if you already have one, how you can make it stronger and refine it. For watching, and I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you coming with me on my YouTube journey. If you liked this video and found it useful, then please like, comment, engage with it, hit the notification bell so that you get more videos like this as I release them every Tuesday and Thursday, often as I can on those days. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.